Greetings, astronauts. This is KeefCooks. I'm Keef, and today, well, Easter is upon us, and traditionally in the UK, at Easter we eat sheep. However, this Easter, me and Mrs. KeefCooks are heading off down south to see our son, and I've no doubt he will feed us huge amounts of sheep, but I'm not doing it now because I'm just not. So what I'm doing instead is a lamb pasty, and it'll be wonderful, I have no doubt. So, you know, a pasty is just a disc of pastry folded in half around filling, or folded in half upwards if you're in Devon. And this all goes back to the controversy or the argument or the utterly boring thing between the counties of Devon and Cornwall in England. So Cornwall have grabbed the rights to the basic idea of the Cornish pasty, and Devon hasn't. However, I don't care, because I don't like either of them. I don't like the filling, they're very dry. I like gravy. I'm from Yorkshire. Gravy, you have to have gravy in anything like a pie. So I'm going to do a Devon style pasty that's got the crimp on the top like a stegosaurus, but with a gravy based filling that includes lamb. I mean, wow, happy Easter. So if you enjoy this video, give it a like, share, subscribe, and let's do it. To start with, we're going to make the filling. So my ingredients, I've got 300 grams of lamb steak with a bit of fat on it, which will be lovely. I've got a medium onion, I've got 2 little carrots and 2 sticks of celery, a teaspoon of dried rosemary and some white pepper and half litre of chicken stock. An apology to my American friends once again about lamb, because apparently lamb isn't really a happening thing. It's scarce, and when you can find it, it's very, very expensive. So it's getting similar to that here. However, it's not eggs. So be grateful. So we need to chopify the vegetables. So top and tail your onion, chop it in half and get the skin off. Okay, now top and tail the carrots and the celery, and this is just because they get grungy bits and they just don't look nice. Not that anybody can tell at the end, but I know. And then magic knife and chop them into bits. Now we'll just sweat these in a little bit of oil for about 10 minutes to make them a bit soft but not brown. Now we just want to cut the lamb into little bits. This is lamb leg steak, by the way. Whatever form of lamb you get will probably be fine. Just make sure you've got no bones in it. So because we're going to do pasties, we don't want big lumps of meat. So cut them down about a centimetre, about half an inch. Cubes will be fine. So here's the vegetables after sweating for 10-15 minutes. And now we'll add the chopped up lamb and turn up the heat, because we do want the lamb to get a bit browned on the edges. Actually, I'll pop it on a bigger ring because this is the slow burner and we want a lot more heat than that can provide. When the meat is browned all over, we'll add the stock. When it's boiling, we'll add some pepper, about half teaspoon, and a teaspoon of dried rosemary. And then turn the heat down, let it simmer, put the lid on, and then give it an hour or two, and we want the lamb to be really tender. Now I'm going to make some short crust pastry, so I've got 400 grams of plain all-purpose flour, I've got 100 grams of lard, 100 grams of butter, half teaspoon of salt, and enough cold water to make it come together in a ball. So you can use all lard or all butter if you want, but I'm using a mix. So first of all, we'll mix the flour and salt together. So it's a good idea to chop your fats into bits. In fact, actually, it's essential, otherwise you won't be able to do it. So what you need to do now is rub that into the flour with your fingertips, and after a few minutes of that you'll end up with something like coarse sand, or you know, if you're sensible, use a machine. So I've got our tiny little food processor, and we probably need 2 goes at this because it's so small, but chuck it in, lid on, and do the rest. There we go, lovely crumbs of fat and flour. Anyway, and now just add enough water to make it come together in a ball. I used to say it would be exactly this amount, but usually it isn't. So I had 250 ml of water in there, which may or may not be enough. Ooh, might be getting close. Well, we are getting close. Might be there. Yeah, I reckon that'll do. So just tip it out onto the worktop, squeeze it together, then we'll wrap that in plastic film and stick it in the fridge to rest for about half an hour. Now the filling is cooked and that lamb really is tender, but the gravy is just a little bit too runny, so I'm going to thicken it up. I'm going to make a slurry of equal parts corn flour, cornstarch, and cold water. Just mix those together into a paste and pop it into the sauce, cook it for a minute or two until it thickens up. And then we're done. Take that off the heat and let it cool down. I added some frozen peas towards the end just to give it some more vegetable content. Oh yeah. Okay, ready to construct the pasties. So you want something to cut your pastry round. I've got this side plate which is 21 centimetre diameter, it's 8 1/4 of those inches. I've got a bacon sheet lined with greaseproof paper, I've got my filling, I've got some water, I've got my rolling pin, and I've got some flour on the worktop. I could also do with a pinny or an apron, but I don't know where it is. So I'll get a lump of pastry and roll it out to about 5 millimetres, about 1/4 of an inch. Then get your plate and just cut around it. Now wet the edge of the disc with water and place a pile of filling in the middle. A long pile, more of a sort of ridge. And then raise up both edges of your pastry and then crimp it. I don't know how to describe this, but it's like you just take a bit and push it, put your finger there and push the next bit up against it, kind of thing. Transfer that to your baking sheet. And I've sprinkled a bit of rice flour on the baking sheet, which will help the pastry not stick to it, even though I've got greaseproof paper, because, you know, physics. Now I'm using a slightly smaller plate because that's too big. So this is 19.5 centimetres, which is 17.5. No, it's not, 7.5 inches. So we'll just cut out the next one. And I'm aiming to do 4 pasties. Yeah, I think that's a better size. Right, well I messed that up. I've used all the filling and I've only got 3 pasties. Anyway, I'm going to glaze them. I have got an egg, precious. And a splash of milk. And whisk those together. And paint your pasties. Now you need to heat your oven to 165 degrees Celsius for a fan oven and convection oven. That's 185 for a conventional one, and that is gas 5. And then put your pasties in and bake them for about 45 minutes. Okay, time's up. Let's get our pasties out. Oh yeah. Okay, they're not exactly what I wanted. I wanted them taller with, you know, the crimping more obvious, and it's kind of collapsed. Probably because of the gravy and the filling. It's too liquid. Anyway, I'm sure they'll be wonderful. I'll let them cool down a little bit and then we'll do a taste test. Okay, let's try these weird pasties. Okay, so they don't look great, but they do taste fantastic, so well worth giving it a go. Lamb pasties for Easter. Reet nice they are. Anyway, thanks for watching and see you next time.